It is the conclusion of week 13, and the Browns are going a mile high as they take on the Denver Broncos tonight at Empower Field at Mile High. I was not expecting this game to be on Monday Night Football when I saw the Denver Broncos were going to be an opponent for the Browns this season, but it is what it is. So I was having a very hard time finding Broncos fans. I was reaching out to a number of people, and well, nobody was responding. And then my friend from the NFL Facebook Messenger group chat, basically, that we have, came through. So, Wes, I appreciate you coming through.
Hey, it's no problem, man. I'm just glad I can help and keep everything rolling for you. It's a big week for I think both teams, honestly. The Broncos still pushing to try to make a wild card berth, and of course the Browns just trying to right the ship. I want to say that's where we're going, right?
Yeah. Um, it's funny. I actually predicted before the start of the season that the Broncos would get into the playoffs as a wild card team. I also predicted the Browns would be a wild card team. So one of those predictions is going to come true. And one of those predictions is, well, probably not. But looking at the Broncos, it's really interesting. It didn't work out with Russell Wilson and Sean Payton for whatever reason. And then they go out and draft a rookie quarterback, Bo Nix, out of the University of Oregon. And it took them a few weeks, but that offense seems to be clicking now.
You're right. Yeah, no, it definitely is. I think from what I've seen, and I actually went to the Steelers game in the home opener, so I got to see Bo Nix and that whole offense live, right? And it was a little disconjointed. It was a little bit all over the place. I think it was Nix trying to find out exactly what he needed to do and what does Sean Payton ask of him. And Sean Payton is very, very, very demanding. I mean, he's hard on veteran players, right?
Yeah, we saw that in New Orleans for Breeze.
Right. And and I think Knicks, I mean, let's start with this, right? Knicks beat out Zach Wilson, and I want to say um he was the backup Jarrett Stidham in
Yes.
training camp, right? Following the whole Sean Payton, Russell Wilson debacle that again, I don't think in my personal opinion, I don't think Sean ever really ingratiated himself to Russell even to begin with. Like I don't think he really even wanted him there. Um, it was more of a you're here, I'm here, let's figure out how to make this work co-parenting situation. And as soon as he could divorce him, he was out of there. So, but you fast forward to Knicks, the guy's got a lot of snaps. He's played a lot of football coming out of college. Um, and so you expected him to be able to handle certain concepts and situations, but at the same point, he was the last quarterback taken of the first round quarterbacks, I believe.
Yeah,
Um,
he was.
wasn't really anything you expected out of them. But I think a lot has changed. And I think one of the big things too was Sean making the big moves, even if you want to pivot off of that, to moving Marvin Mims. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he was a wide receiver coming into the league. He did a lot of stuff last year. And it was one of those like, oh, we got Mims that allowed them to let Tim Patrick go, who's up in Detroit now. Um, and so you got Cortland Sutton. You had I mean, they even sent Jerry Jeudy to the Browns because Marvin
Exactly.
Mims was stepping up.
Yeah,
And
Jerry Judy's making his return
oh,
to Denver tonight.
yep, yep.
So, on that
But
note,
Mims is playing
yeah,
hybrid role because of
that's
that. And
true.
so now Mims, he's averaging, I think almost 60 yards of total all-purpose offense now, both running the ball and catching the ball. Very Alvin Kamara-ish. Um, even though you had a very Alvin Kamara player in Devontae Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin back there. Both
Yes.
guys, but they're a little bit smaller, but both guys who can tote the ball get you that speed, get you that explosiveness. I think Mims has actually been the one that's helped Knicks a lot more than a lot of people realize.
Um, by the way, Jaleel McLaughlin, I am very familiar with him as a running back for the Broncos because before he transferred to Youngstown State, he actually went to my alma mater, Notre Dame College, which is where it was actually a small, like liberal arts college in
Yeah.
South Euclid, a suburb of Cleveland. Unfortunately, that college has since closed, but I got to see
Mm,
Leo up close for a few years while he played at NDC. So I'm very familiar with him.
nice.
Um, so to see him like playing well and making an impact for the Broncos, like it's very cool for me. Like I I want him to do well, just not tonight. Like I'm gonna have mixed feelings because like I don't have him in fantasy, but he went to my alma mater, so I want him to play well, but I also want the Browns to get the win, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, and I think you got to lean on that defense, right? Like, what are the Browns going, like, what are they doing? You have Miles Garrett, enough said, but aren't you missing a linebacker to this week? Or is he out? JOK, I think it was.
I I don't know what the story is with JOK. I I'm really not sure with JOK. I'd have to look at the injury report again. Last I saw, I think he's playing, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. I mean, and I think that's going to be big, right? Because big, fast, athletic linebacker who can cover. He's basically a big safety in the box. And now you take Mims, who's a wide receiver playing some running back. That's a very athletic spot. You throw in the McLeals and the McLaughlins and the Javante Williams. You need that,
Exactly.
especially to slow down the run. And especially here in Denver, it's just cold. We had no snow, no real weather. I don't think we have any projected weather. So, it'll be clear. The fields are going to be nice, but that still is you got a three-headed run game, short passing game, which Knicks is killing it right now. And to help alleviate that pressure from Miles Garrett and crew. You know what I mean?
Also, the fact that, in Denver, it's thin air. So, I mean, if it were up to me, I would have had the Browns practicing in Colorado all week so that they're fully ready for, Denver because it's different when you play in Denver, whether it's against the Nuggets or the Avalanche or the Rockies or the Broncos as the Browns
Hmm.
are tonight. Like you have to fully take that into consideration. And the Broncos are going to try and take advantage of the fact that maybe the Browns aren't used to that.
I don't know because in order to take advantage of that, you're going to have to do one of two things. Either you're going to got to go up tempo, or you're going to have to keep the defense on the field for a long time. Neither of those are what Sean Payton does. He wants to be efficient, 8 to 10 plays, get down the field, get a field goal, get a touchdown. Done. He's not going to try to stretch it out to 10, 12, 14, 15 play drives if he can help it. You know
Right.
what I
Yeah.
mean? Um, I don't know, man. I think the Browns, especially, they have a chance because the defense for the Broncos, well, is leading. I think they're leading the league in sacks. I think they got like some in mid 40s in sacks already, and that's pressure. But the only real secondary person they got is Patrick Surtain. Um, I think there's a guy named Riley who's over there in the secondary, if I remember his name correctly, but it's not the same. blue, orange crush, smothering secondary as usual. And
No, it's nowhere close
you
to
still
that
got,
no fly zone that they had in Super Bowl 50, where
yeah,
they had DeMarcus Ware, TJ Ward. I'm trying to think of some of the other names they had on that. Von Miller. It's nowhere close to
yeah,
that
you know what I
level
mean?
of
It's
defense.
nowhere. They're just they're very efficient. And with Vance Joseph there, still seeing the pressure, still seeing the blitzes. I do believe the Browns, excuse me, the Broncos are dealing with some injuries. Um,
By the way, I
it's looking
looked
like a
at the
very,
Browns injury report. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah was not listed on there, so I'm expecting him to play tonight. Um,
okay, okay, cool.
so
I don't know. I think it's a toss-up, honestly, because you look at the offense for the Browns, two-headed monster in Chubb and Ford.
yeah,
Jameis Winston's averaging what, nearly 300 yards passing now? It's
yeah,
it's
but
what
the
you
problem
expected
with
out of Deshaun Watson.
yeah, why I don't even like mentioning that name. But but the problem with Jameis is I don't know what I'm gonna get with him. Like he could have the game he had against Baltimore a few weeks ago where he's getting it to his receivers and making plays left and right. Or he could have the game he had against the
hmm
Chargers where it's 3 or 4 interceptions. And you're like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you throwing the ball there when you could have thrown the ball over there instead? So it's like he's so much of a Jekyll and Hyde, type of quarterback. And for the most part, we got the good version of Jameis Winston last week against Pittsburgh. So I'm kind of concerned that I'm going to get the bad version of Jameis tonight. I have to be honest there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It's I think Jameis has always been polarizing, right? Even what was he? He was the first 30-30 guy. If I want to remember correctly, when he was when it was with the Bucks, he was the first 30. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to take those shots. And if
Right.
y'all have any chance of winning the game, you need him being willing to take those shots. I can live with the 300 yards passing, two touchdown, one interception, a lost fumble, because that means you were being aggressive, getting the ball down the field. And as you know, explosive plays are the game. I'm an analytical guy. You know it too. If you're when you increase the more plays of 15 plus 15 yards or more, the more likely you are to score points. And the more points you score, the more likely you are to win. So um you kind of want that, honestly. I'd rather him be aggressive than be what, without saying his name, the other guy was, which was extremely passive and scared almost. He was always hurt, you know what I mean? Like unwilling to take that chance.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying that Jameis needs to, rein it in and be a conservative quarterback. That's not what I'm saying. But it's just like I because of that aggressiveness, I don't know what version of him I'm gonna get. Like I said, it's like I love that he's willing to take the deep shots, but you're are you gonna get it to your receiver or is it gonna be intercepted? Like with him, I feel like I have more of those questions than I do with, say, a Josh Allen or a Lamar Jackson or a Patrick Mahomes. Maybe those are bad examples, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but he was like this at Florida State, and as a Florida State fan, right? I followed Florida State and Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. Um, you know, I saw this version of Jameis. He's a gamer, and that's what Cleveland, honestly, I think you guys need to beat this defense today. Is if he's going back there. playing it slow. Now, again, like you said, you don't want him being cautious, but
Right.
he has to take those risks because I don't think those windows are going to be very big. So he's got to force a couple things. And correct me if I'm wrong. All you have Jerry Judy matched up with Patrick Surtain. You can call that a wash. Now he's going to have to rely on somebody else or two other people
Yeah.
to move the ball.
Yeah.
And
Because
I mean, sometimes you got to be
Cedric
aggressive to
Tillman
get
is
that.
out. Cedric Tillman is out for us tonight. So I'm like, Elijah Moore, um, David Njoku, who's going to step up as that other guy? If, like you said, Jerry Judy is taken away by Patrick Surtain, which I would fully expect Surtain to be on Jerry Judy most of the game tonight. Um, I
Hmm.
I do know Denver is a 6 point favorite going into tonight, which, they're right there in wild card contention, so it makes sense. And the Browns have struggled in Denver. They haven't beaten the Broncos in Denver since 2018. The Browns have lost 9 of the past 11 matchups against the Broncos, if I remember correctly. And Browns fans have never liked the Broncos because of three things: John Elway, the drive, and the fumble. So
Yep.
it's not
Well, I mean,
setting
we
up.
can look at it.
Huh?
Well, you can look at it like this, right? You have Riley Moss. That was the name of the other corner, right? He's out. Starting inside linebackers out. The Broncos are missing another big time player in Josh Reynolds. Not big time, but he's another useful body in there to kind of help with all the pass game. Except it's going to be the matchup, truly, in my opinion, is going to be how do the Browns handle the Marvin Mims hybrid experiment that's going on right now? Because outside of him, you got Cortland Sutton. We'll say Denzel Ward is there, right? Denzel Ward's playing. That's a wash. So um, it's little Humphreys Jr. It's Devon Vele. It's Marvin Mims, who are the ones who everybody's going to be looking at to move the ball.
Yeah.
I don't know if right now the chance is there as long as Bo Nix doesn't go full rookie mode. And I
Yeah.
think the Browns could steal it. I think the Browns can steal this game if their defense comes to play
If
because I just don't see anybody else who's really a threat.
if the Browns
Um,
win this game, they're somehow, some way still in contention for a wild card spot. A lot would have to go their way, in terms of, probably winning out, which would include a win against Kansas City in week 15. So that's kind of unlikely.
yeah,
But, the Chargers would have to lose a few games. I think Indianapolis would have to lose a few games. It's unlikely, but the fact that the Browns are sitting here at 3-8 and they're still considered in the hunt, kind of
yeah, yeah.
mind blowing to me. That says more about the AFC than it does the Browns, in my opinion. I don't know about you, but to me, that just says like the AFC is not nearly as strong as the NFC. Because in the NFC, you've got the Lions, you've got the Eagles, you've got Seattle.
That's it. I'm telling you that. No, no, this is probably the best case scenario for a lot of teams because in the NFC, we don't have ballers like that. Like you said, it's Philly, Minnesota, Detroit.
Yeah,
Everybody else is right around in Washington, right? But Washington's at 8-5, and Green Bay is 9-3. So that's your playoffs, right? You're going to have a 500, right around 500 team come out the NFC South, whether it's the Atlanta Falcons or the Bucks. You're going to have a 500 team or right around 500 team come out in NFC West, Seattle, Arizona, LA, you know, everybody in the NFC West, 5 losses or more. Everybody in NFC South, 6 losses or more. But then you get your 9-3 Packers, 10-2 Minnesota, 11-1 Detroit, 8-5 Washington, 10-2 Philly. That's your playoff field right there. That's
Yeah.
the playoff field. You get your 4 division winners, and then you get Green Bay and Minnesota making wild card. And I think one more, right? We get 3 wild cards now
Yeah.
in Washington. That's your playoff field. We already know what it is. Now at this point, it's a matter of will, could Chicago with this new coaching change that we have sneak in? But when you go back to the AFC, Pittsburgh 9-3, Baltimore 8-5, Houston's 8-5, Indy 6-7, 8-4, Chargers 7. It's a lot. The only division that's really locked up is the AFC East. That's because the Bills have already sealed it with 5 games to go.
Yeah. Like Kansas City has not locked up their division yet. They're going to. I would guess
Yeah,
I mean they're 11-1. And they play the Chargers next week on Sunday Night Football in Kansas City. I would guess the Chiefs win that game. Um, which maybe the Browns could use that to their advantage going into that Kansas City game. The fact that the Chiefs are going to be playing on Sunday Night Football, whereas
I think the Chiefs are extremely vulnerable right now. I
so
really do. I don't think that defense isn't nearly as suffocating. I think the Browns have a very, very, very high chance of upsetting the Chiefs as long as you get Jabo playing lights out. He's like you said, he's extremely mercurial. Um, Big game, mid game, big game, mid game. Technically, if we're following that pattern, this is supposed to be another big game out of Jabo going into a mid game next week.
in Pittsburgh, yeah.
You
Uh,
know what I mean?
Yeah, which speaking of the schedule, do you think the Browns can use this to their advantage? The fact that they played on Thursday, so they had more time to get ready for this game in Denver, whereas the Broncos they played the Raiders in Vegas. So like it was more of a short week for them. Do you think the Browns have
No,
some type of advantage there or no?
I do. I think it's minor, right? You just have more time to get rested. You went from a Thursday night game to a Monday night game. That is a lot of time to get like it's almost like a mini bye week, right?
Right.
And with that being as it may, I think at that point that's when you're starting to look at more of a advantage is again getting guys healthy. It's okay, Jameis, you have more time to clean up this, that, or third. We had more time to really evaluate how we wanted to handle the pass rush from the Broncos, because that's going to be the key, keeping Jameis upright and situated. You know what I mean? Not letting him field rush
Right.
because it's going to be a lot of man coverage. It's going to be a lot of blitzing, not even man coverage. It's just going to be a lot of 5, 6 man pressures coming from various angles and positions. And can he giving him the time to get through at least 2 reads before he has to either check it down or take off?
Yeah. I think
You
that's
know,
why the Browns have to come out and establish the run game early. I would not be surprised if on their first drive, um, it's it's very run heavy, but we are running out of time according to Zoom.
yep.
We have
Yeah, no, I get it.
10 minutes left, so we're gonna wrap things up. As much as I want to pick the Browns to win tonight, I really want to because I don't like the Broncos.
Yeah,
Well, I wasn't born for the Elway drive and fumble stuff, but I have personal reasons for not liking the Broncos. Um,
yep.
but that being said, I'm still picking Denver to win this game. They're at home. They're fighting for a wild card spot. So I'll say it's a bit of a lower scoring game, 23-17 Denver.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm in the same position. I think Denver has a lot more to lose than you know what I mean? So I don't think they're going to play tight. I think they're going to come out, they're going to try to get the game. Again, the whole point is if we can make the game fall 100% on Jameis Winston's shoulders, take Nick Chubb out, take Jerome Ford out, make this a passing, a two-score game midway through the third, going into the fourth, you got
Mhm.
Denver should has a high chance of winning. I also don't think there's going to be a lot of points scored. I think both defenses are really good. Um, Honestly, I think I'm gonna go 24-14 Broncos. Um, just because I think once the Broncos get that lead, I think that's where it's just going to be over. They can just pin their ears back and go get them. Um, I think that's just where it's all going to fall at the end of the day. I'm going 24-14 Broncos at home.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you, and we'll talk during the game, and we'll see what happens.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. Thanks for having me on. Hey, you enjoy
Yep.
yourself, man.
Sounds good.
Stay safe.